Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is John LaMaster. I'm a life insurance sales director here at IAMS. I'm joined by Chris Lawrence from GPM Life. We're going to go over, he's going to have a good presentation on their federal benefits software, run through some value proposition there, how to help you close some federal appointments if you're working in that space. So it should be a great webinar here today. I'm going to go over a few slides here to get us started. First off, want to go over our new producer bonus. So within your first 180 days of getting contracted with us here at IAMS, we have 5 different levels here that you can take advantage of. Some extra benefits. That $100,000 level, you can get yourself $750 cash in your pocket. Looking down at that $500,000 level, you have a 5,000 piece postcard mailing, Matt Gill training session, all the way down to a Ritz-Carlton stay. And then looking at that $1 million level, we have some preset appointments, some different marketing that you can take advantage of, workshops, whatnot. So if you have any questions here on new producer builders, if you've currently gotten contracted with us, want to know where you're at, points wise, production wise, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our best number here is 800-255-5055 and ask for anybody on your sales team or your life or annuity sales director. Next, we have another referral producer bonus in our marketing reimbursement plan, another couple different ways to put some extra cash in your pocket. You get a $50 one-time bonus if you refer an agent and that agent gets contracted with us. And then when they write business, we will cut you a check for $1,000 and then paying out on business from that referral. We pay out quarterly at different levels from target, life target down to MIGA production, as you can see there. And then on top of that, we have our marketing reimbursement program. So we'll pay you guys $100 in marketing reimbursement per $100,000 in FIA business, $200 for $100,000 in single premium life production, and $200 per $10,000 in target premium on the life insurance side of things. So once again, if you have any questions on where you stand, either marketing reimbursement or on referral business, don't hesitate to reach out, 800-255-5055 and ask for your life or annuity sales director. Next is our back office support. When Charles founded our company 35 plus years ago, we really wanted to focus on you as the agent and the best way to support you guys to help you make this business easier. It's hard enough as it is. So we're going to, really pride ourselves on our support that we provide. If that's, back office support, we have case design assistance, submission, help on the life and annuity side, help run life and annuity quotes. And we really pride ourselves on on the sales team. We're here to, be sales partners with you, walk through cases, need any, sales strategies, ideas on top of designs on the life insurance side, and getting quotes and illustrations out to you on the life and annuity side, both. We have our IAMS website, which is a great tool to use. There's going to be quoter tools on both the life and annuity side. On the annuity side, using find out what the current rates are at, what any product bonuses, anything like that, life insurance term quotes, forms online, links then to submit e-applications. As we know, that's the way the business is trending, getting away from paper. Most carriers are, and some of them even will pay out higher comp on a e-app versus a paper app. So IAMS website, great tool to use, great training opportunities on their sales resource library. You could spend at least 2 days in there scrolling through that, finding good information. Once again, I mentioned e-applications. These are the 3 softwares that we work with on the e-app side. Firelight is going to be mostly annuity side of things. A handful of the life insurance carriers. iPipeline or iGo will be a majority of your life insurance production, and then Sunfire is going to be more on that senior health side of things. So if you have any questions on those, once again, don't hesitate to reach out, ask for your life or annuity sales director, 800-255-5055. Here's a list of, and then here's a flyer on Firelight showing the list of carriers on the annuity side and the life insurance side of things. Our creative team here, they do an awesome job. Handful, 5 or so people on that team, and just added a a new team member there too. So if it's either website creation, any digital marketing, anything on that digital space, and then also some turnkey solutions if you're looking for print, if that's, you know, newsletters, postcards, flyers, handouts, can also help out with logo design, business card, brochures, stationery, advertising, then like I mentioned, the digital side of things, personal websites, social media consulting, email marketing, drip marketing, and help with creation of online newsletters. So if you would like to be put in contact with somebody on our creative team, do not hesitate to reach out to somebody on your sales team. IAMS Wealth Management, we've created this, started this up here a handful of years ago now, back in 2016, I believe it was. As the industry changes, it's always changing. We just wanted to create the IAMS Wealth Management side to help grow that AUM side, so it helps increase revenue, improve client retention, and strengthen your client relationship. So if you have any questions on there, I'm going to put up a poll here, actually, if you would like any more information on IAMS Wealth Management. Alrighty, appreciate everybody that has shared there, and we will be reaching out to you if you would like any more information there on IAMS Wealth. Last couple slides here, we have our life and annuity academies that we host multiple times a year. I know we have one coming up here next week that will be here at our home office in Omaha. Great 2-day training. Spend some time on your business with other top professionals around the industry. Usually we're going to partner with at least one or two insurance carriers also. I think the one coming up here, it's going to be North American and SILAC. We have one coming up in September also. So if you'd like any additional information on that, I'm going to also launch a poll. If you'd like any additional information on this next one coming up towards the end of September, which will also be here in Omaha, partnering with North American and SILAC. All righty, and to wrap it up, before I hand it over to Chris, obviously follow our Facebook, LinkedIn, our YouTube channels. Always a great way for us to share updates around the industry, what's going on here at IAMS, either if it's new products, new marketing strategies, and every one of our webinars then is going to be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So a great resource to use to go back to watch any webinars and any training that we put on. So with that being said, I will hand it over to Chris at GPM to talk about their value proposition, their software tools that you have available to you to help close federal sales.
All right, thank you so much, John, and thank you to everyone who's taken the time out of their day to spend their morning with us here. I do appreciate it. So as John was saying, my name is Chris Lawrence. I'm basically your internal marketing rep for GPM Life. And what we wanted to do today was talk a little bit about some of the tools that the GPM has to offer in terms of our benefit software, which enables you to go in if you're talking to a federal employee. We provide a free software program to all of our active producers that's going to enable you to do a benefits analysis. So I'm going to do a quick rundown on here's how we run it, but then I'm going to also get into, hey, here's what our presentation looks like. Here's what's going on with their benefits, and here's some sales opportunities within that. As I told John before, I'm not a guy who's going to sit and go through 20 slides with you and tell you why GPM is better than every other insurance companies out there. That's just not my approach, and I find that most producers get tired of hearing all that over and over. So what I want to talk about today is, hey, here's some different tools that you have available to you if you're working in the federal market, and we want to work hand in hand to help you. If it's okay with you, John, I'm not sure what our situation is here. What I will do afterwards is I can send out a recording of exactly how to input everything in here. If it's okay with you, what I'm thinking I can do is talk about what some of the needs are that you're going to see within the software, and then where some sales opportunities exist. So that way people will kind of have an idea of, hey, here's where the opportunities are for us here.
Yep, let's do that, and then we can distribute everything to everybody that's joined us here today.
Exactly. And I apologize, guys. I don't know what our technical issue is, but I appreciate the patience here. So, as John has probably shared with you, GPM works predominantly in the federal employee market. Okay, so that is our niche. We've been doing that since 1934. So we're not a company that in the past decade said, oh, let's start working federal employee markets. That's a great place to be. So I know a lot of you are already working that market. I also know a lot of people that sell just life or people that sell just annuities. One thing I always share, and I think this is one of the big benefits of working with GPM, is when you're meeting with people, no matter what type of marketing or lead system you're using, my experience has been that about 70% of those folks are what we call not age eligible. And what do I mean by not age eligible? They're not 59 and a half. So when they're not 59 and a half, they can't move their TSP. What we have found is that if you want to get your hands on that TSP, and let's be candid, I mean, there's billions and billions of dollars sitting in those TSP accounts for you to get your hands on. Well, let's say you're talking to somebody who's 50 or 52 or 55, and they're still a little ways from retirement. We have found that the likelihood of you getting your hands on that TSP money, if this person is an existing client, goes up exponentially, rather than having to Zoom with somebody now and call them 3 or 5 years from now saying, hey, I don't know if you remember me, John, but we went over your benefits 3 to 5 years from now, or 3 or 5 years ago. Well, as opposed to that, being able to say, hey, John, I was just circling back with you. I wanted to review your current, insurance policy, make sure all of our ducks are in a row, and you're leading right into that TSP. The other thing you have with us is our products can all be set up on payroll deduction. So when you're setting it up on payroll deduction, not only are you seeing that you're having about 97% 13-month persistency on those policies, but if somebody retires and they fell through the cracks, you weren't on top of it, or they retired earlier than you thought, possibly. Well, now we're in a situation where you can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this person a call. I just got to notice John's life insurance premium did not come in. So he either retired, he switched jobs, he's out of work sick, something's going on. I can touch base and say, hey, John, I noticed your premium didn't come in. I just wanted to touch base and see what's going on. Oh, you decided to retire early. Well, we need to set up a time to get together to make sure all your ducks are in a row. Certainly need to switch everything around on here so that your policy does not lapse. And then we go from there. So a great way to kind of just lead in. Now, if you go into this and you're doing a review, typically you're going to find, you've got what's called FEGLI. And just so I know, John, are most of the people on our call today, are they already working in the federal space?
I would assume, I do see some familiar names in here, and I would say yes.
Okay, perfect. So when you're working in the federal space and you're looking at their FEGLI, okay, we're looking at FEGLI, which is a Federal Employees Group Life Insurance. You're typically going to see one of two scenarios. Either they have FEGLI option B, okay, and you'll see in the information that I send out after this meeting, those rates go up exponentially. Okay, if I look at a sample, you got somebody in their late 40s, they could be paying $60, $70 a pay right now. When they retire, it's not uncommon for those rates to jump to $700, $800 a month. And if they decided to keep that in place long term, meaning carry it out into retirement to when they're in their 70s and 80s, those rates can approach $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So they become astronomically high. And what our software is going to enable you to do is it's going to show you, hey, here's what you're paying right now, but also here is what's coming down the pike. It breaks it down every 5 years. So now as an advisor, you can say to that person, John, as you're looking at these rates, at what point are you no longer going to be able to afford this insurance? And typically the answer you're getting is right around retirement. And then I follow up with the questions, well, John, was your plan to cancel all of your insurance benefits just as you're reaching retirement here? Or are you like most of the employees that you're talking to, you don't want to cancel it, but you're kind of being forced to because the rates are getting so astronomically high? And typically that's when you're hearing, well, yeah, I don't want to get rid of all my insurance, but I've got you because it's getting so expensive. And then I'm just following up with a question at them, John, when we wrap up looking at your benefits here, would you like to take a look at what the other employers are doing to address this problem? And when you ask it in that fashion, you'd be amazed at how many people are going to say, well, yeah, I want to see what the other employers are doing. And that just gave you permission to show them an insurance illustration here. So now you can go in, you can show them an insurance illustration and say, hey, here's what most of the other employees in your situation are doing, okay? Now, what's the other scenario that we can run into there? When we look at the FEGLI, maybe they only have basic. You see that CO code on the pay stub and say, oh, geez, they don't have any coverage there. And a lot of agents see that and they say, oh, they don't have anything in place. There's not much for me to do here. I look at that the exact opposite. I always say to them, John, I'm noticing you just have the basic coverage. Let me ask you, what do you have in place outside of the government? What do you have in place here to protect your family outside of the government coverage? And John, what do you think the most common answer I get to that is?
I would assume probably nothing.
Unfortunately, that is. Usually I hear, well, I don't have anything, or well, I just took out the basic. And then I just put a real confused look on my face and I kind of say, oh, and I kind of pause. John, I apologize for my reaction. That's just not something that I see very often. Can you help me understand what you had in mind when you decided not to take out any of these coverages for your family? And then I just shut up. So I kind of stutter over myself a little bit. I say, oh, John, okay, I apologize. That's not something I see very often, but can you help me understand what you had in mind when you decided not to take out any of these coverages for your family? And what my tone and my intonations there is telling him, oh, geez, I screwed up. Okay. And then I just come back with, I say, okay, well, when we wrap up here, would you like to take a look at what the other employees in your situation are doing to address this? Okay. Again, typically you're going to get an affirmative response there. Now, occasionally you'll get somebody that says, oh yeah, I've got some policies set up. And whenever they have something set up, I always ask, hey, well, great, tell me, what company is that with? What type of coverage is it? Who set that up for you? Why am I asking those questions? Well, if I hear my buddy Jeff, who was the best man in my wedding, set this up for me, and I meet with him twice a year to review it, I know I'm probably wasting my time. Okay. Usually that's not the response. I have people that tell me they have whole life, and when I have them actually send me over the policy information, I find out it's accidental death. Guys, if somebody tells you they have $1 million whole life policy that they're paying $100 a month for, I can tell you if it's what they really have, let me know. I'm going and enrolling in that plan myself. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And these are federal employees. They're sharp people, but they're not typically the most financially savvy people. That's why they need our help. So if we're in a situation where we can say, hey, we're now going to go through and we're gonna review what you have, and we're gonna now offer solutions. Now, in terms of what types of solutions we can offer, we can get as complex or as simplistic as you want. Okay. So in terms of what kind of products do we offer? We've got a full line of term, whole life, and universal life products. We also have final expense products. My division doesn't do a whole heck of a lot of the final expense, but I will tell you, I've got a number of agents that go in and they have employees, federal employees that set up final expense plans on their parents because they want to make sure things are taken care of there, and they're the ones that are responsible for helping mom and dad out. So that's something that you have available to you within the product line. In terms of, where is kind of that sweet spot, our best selling product is our Unimark 19 product. That's a universal life product. Okay. Our term, our whole life, and our universal life products all include comprehensive living benefits, chronic, critical, and terminal illness benefits. If you do decide to go the term route, our term products are convertible through age 69 for all but the last 2 years. So for example, if you sold a 20-year product to a 50-year-old, that person would have 18 years to convert to any of our permanent products. Okay. Again, they still have the comprehensive living benefits built in there. On our UL product, you can put accidental death riders, you can put mortgage riders, you can put something called a DARE rider, which allows you to do pension maximization sales, where in a pension maximization, what that is that's actually using our product to replace the survivor benefit. So when you're dealing with the spousal survivor benefit in the federal market, as many of you already know, you can take that 10% reduction in your pension to leave a spouse a 50% survivor benefit. Well, where's the inherent challenge with that? Well, the inherent challenge with that obviously is, you get out there 20, 30 years and the spouse passes away, they may have put $100,000 or more in to pay for that survivor benefit, and it doesn't go to anybody. The government keeps that money. as opposed to if they used an insurance plan to do that, well, they can either pull their cash value out or turn around and leave that death benefit to a child or grandchild. So a lot more control, okay? So again, there's a couple examples of some of the more complex sales that we can do. If you guys are further down the road and want to get into that, we can certainly discuss that more, okay? For today, I want to talk about a more simplistic approach, and I'm going to send you over a link on this as well, John, when we wrap up, so you can share with the agents. And what a lot of the agents are doing is we've asked that question, we've already set the stage. So let's say somebody has 5 times, okay, and they can see it's going to get astronomically expensive, or they just have basic, they have nothing in place, and they're saying, oh my gosh, I have nothing for the family here. What the agents are saying is, what the other federal employees are doing is we're setting up a permanent plan to go alongside what you have in the federal market here, or in your federal benefits package. It's a permanent plan that's got a permanent death benefit. It kicks in as soon as you're approved and your first allotment comes in, okay? It's got comprehensive living benefits, chronic, critical, terminal illness benefits built into it. So if you have a major health issue take place here, you can potentially get a part of that death benefit to help with those costs. And it also builds cash value. Now, it's not one of these split funded IRA things or anything like that, so you don't have any of the goofy IRA or 59.5 rules to have in place. So John, let me ask you, does it make, seeing what's going to happen with your family or seeing that you don't have anything in place right now, you know, depending on the scenario, does it even make sense to you to have a plan in place that's going to have a permanent death benefit, a plan that's going to have comprehensive living benefits, and is going to build a cash accumulation for you that's money that can be used for retirement or emergency, something like that? Does that even make sense to you? Now, if the answer is no, okay, John, I'm sure you have a good reason for saying that. Can you help me understand why that is? You know, put it back on them. Let them explain away and either stumble all over themselves or tell you what their true objection is. You know, if we know what that objection is, it's a lot easier for us to overcome that than for us to sit there and try to guess at what it is, you know. Now, if they say, well, yeah, that makes sense, the agents are simply coming back and saying, most of the employees I talk to are starting off at $100 a pay. Let's take a look at what that would look like for you. And they're going ahead and they're showing an illustration for $100 a pay. And again, when we wrap up, I'm going to shoot you over. It's literally a 12-minute Zoom link that shows you how to run that illustration and go through it. But then they're popping up, and let's say we're talking to somebody who's, you know, 50 years old, maybe they get a $180,000 death benefit. And we can say to them, okay, so at $100 a pay, you'd have a $180,000 death benefit. Okay, that's also what your living benefits are going to be based off of. And you can see how the accumulation grows here. So typically within about 20 years, they're getting about 90 to 95% of their premium back if they chose to cancel it. Okay, so over 20 years, $100 a pay, they put in 52,000. Their projected cash typically is about 45 to 50,000 in that window. And you can say to them, so now you can say in 20 years, if you say, hey, I just don't feel like I need this anymore, you can cash this plan in, you're getting back the majority of the money you put into it, and you had a $180,000 death benefit, and you had $180,000 worth of living benefits to protect you. Or if, you know, you say, hey, this is working great, I want to keep it exactly as is, you just continue paying on it, you can carry it into retirement. Okay, it's a portable plan. If you leave the federal government and go and work for, you know, another organization in the private sector, you can take this with you. You don't have to be employed here. We would just switch it over to a monthly bank draft for you at that point. Okay, so really just setting that stage and saying, okay, here's what I'm seeing the other employees doing. Now, if they come back and say, yeah, that sounds good, great, you were right into the EAP, and I'm going to send you over a link to, you know, on how to take an EAP with us here as well. Now, if they say, well, John, I like the idea, but $100 a pay, that's just more than I can set aside. I say, hey, I completely understand. What amount would you be comfortable starting with? Well, I'd be comfortable with $60 a pay. Perfect. We pop back in, we adjust that to $60 a pay, and now we're rocking and rolling. So that would now get you about a $100,000 death benefit. Is it? Yeah. How do you feel about that? Yeah, that would work. Okay. Well, that's a great place to start. And now I'm pivoting right into the EAP there. Okay. So being able to say, here's what we've got, here's where we can go, and here's something that you're going to have that's going to have a permanent death benefit to help your family. So before I shift gears a little bit, I want to turn it back to John and the crowd here. Are there any questions or anything that you want to dig into a little bit more on that?
I did have one question here, Chris, and I've had this asked a couple times. One here in the, I guess once here while you've been chatting and sharing, and then also outside conversations. When will the EAP be available in the state of California? Do you have any information on
Excellent
that?
question. I don't have an answer for that because California is, we send stuff to California, get approved, that other states approve in a matter of 2 months, and 2 years later, we don't have an answer for that. I would not expect the EAP to be approved in the state of California in the immediate future,
Okay.
or even the near future, and that's just me being candid with you. I hope we get an unexpected surprise, but I just know how long California has taken with other things. And I assure you, we have many other producers in the state of California that would have been asking for that for the past 2.5 years, and unfortunately, we have not gotten a positive response from California on that.
Okay.
So let me follow up with a couple of questions. What percent of your producers are working actively in California there?
I know we have one here. I guess I wouldn't know the exact number. I mean, obviously with California being such a large state, we do have a large presence there. And then obviously with, the federal market being big in the state also.
Absolutely. So I've got a huge military group that works, a huge military group based in San Diego there. And so what I'll do is I'm going to share with you a couple of different workarounds. Okay. If we're taking an app in California, what the agents are doing is they're filling out a paper app. Okay. But let's say you're doing this remotely. Okay. You're not meeting with them face to face. What we're doing at that point is you can either upload that unsigned and we will send it to the applicant for DocuSign. We'll scrub the app, send it to them for DocuSign, send it back to the agent for DocuSign. California is very nitpicky on who signs it first. Okay. If we have agents that have their own DocuSign accounts and would rather send out their own DocuSigns, let me know before you do this, because there is a IT address that needs to be copied on the DocuSign, and there's certain documentation we need to make sure that everything was done properly and in the right order. But an agent can send out their own DocuSign to the applicant, have them DocuSign it, send it back. The agent would then DocuSign it. The agent does need to DocuSign it after, and we need those timestamps to show that it was signed after. Like I say, California is very nitpicky on that. But that is how we have done apps for probably the past 3-4 years in California, where other states have had the e-apps. We've used a DocuSign. And is it as easy as the e-app? No. Once you get that system down, though, it is a pretty systematic process, and we've been able to streamline that pretty well. By doing that, you're not trying to mail stuff to people to get signed, and now they forgot to sign this, they forgot to sign that. And we give the agents the flexibility of either, if they want the control of the process, they can send it out, or if they want us to handle it so they're not dealing with the nitpicky stuff and they want the application scrubbed before, we can handle it for them that way.
Okay, then a follow-up question there. That is good information to know. So would that be, how would that work? You download it as a PDF, you can pre-fill everything as a PDF, then do we, you save that PDF and then send it off to your guys' processing team, and then they send that out via DocuSign? Is that how that works?
Absolutely. So what you would do is you would just fill out the paper application, scan it into a PDF. That then is going to get uploaded onto our website. So there's a section on our website that I wish I could be showing you guys right now. But you would go ahead and you would upload. And once you upload that, we'll get everything processed. We're going to scrub it. Now, just so you know, if we are sending out the DocuSign, it's got to go through imaging. It's got to go and get reviewed. It's got to, we're scrubbing those to make sure that everything is in good order. So we're not sending out a document for you that has to be redone or has to have amendments or anything like that. So it is a couple-day process. It's not like you're uploading it and it's sent out in 10 minutes. I don't want to lead you guys to believe that's the case, but it's not sitting there for a month either. I would say typically 3-4 days is what I'm seeing that process taking.
Okay.
Okay. While we are talking about, California, no living benefits in the state of California either, which I wish I was saying, hey, we're the only one and we're a big outlier, but From what my understanding is, the vast majority of companies don't have living benefits in the state of California.
Okay, good to know also.
Yeah. So any other questions than that before I talk about kind of some of the niche things that I see working really well with GPM in the federal space here?
Those are the only questions that I've seen right now.
Okay. So the neat thing that I think sets us apart, because let's be candid, everybody you talk to out there, the federal market's gotten hot over the past 10 years. Every insurance company, oh yeah, we can do the federal market. Well, there's a difference between we can do the federal market and we've been doing it for 90 years and have it down to a science. Okay. So when you look at GPM, one of the biggest things we have is, our ability to do payroll deduction. Okay. So if you have, a federal employee, all they're going to have to do is they're going to log into their pay center and they're going to go into the section that says allotments. And if you're setting up a plan for $100 a pay, they're going to type in WesBanco's routing number, the account number. Both of those pieces of information, when you take an EAP, will be found in that EAP, because you're going to, when you populate the EAP, it's going to populate a form to set up an allotment account for them. Okay. Then they put in $100 and they put in that it's a savings account and they hit submit. It's out of sight, out of mind at that point. Okay. So when you're on your Zoom with the employee, they're going in right there at the time of application, and they're putting that allotment information into their pay center. The forms that we need to actually set up an account with WesBanco is our third-party administrator there. That information is all being put into the EAP. If you're taking a paper app in California, those forms are in there as well. Okay, they'll just be manually filled out and DocuSigned at that point. So now we've got that account, that app comes in to GPM. We're going ahead, we're getting that account set up with WesBanco for the agent. The employee has already set up the allotment with their pay center. When the next pay cycle runs through, and it depends where you are in the pay cycle. I mean, if you're 2 or 3 days before the payday, it's going to be the following one. But typically it's a 7 to 10 days before, where you click over to that new pay date there, and it varies from agency to agency. But what happens now is, while everything's being set up, we're underwriting that case. Okay. Now, if you're writing non-med cases with us are through 250,000 through age 65. So if you go over 250,000 or you go over age 65, you will have to get a medical exam. That's where you're going to order those cases, order a medical exam through either Exam One or Board of Medic. But again, that's why I'm seeing so many of our agents, especially newer agents in the federal market, that focus on that $100 a pay, because most of those cases are coming in under that 250,000. So now we can say, okay, we're going to go ahead, we're going to get that case underwritten. On non-medical cases, typically about 3 to 5 days. Okay, so now that case is approved. Okay, assuming everything's in good order, that first allotment comes in. We go ahead, we settle that case. At that point, we mail the policy directly to the policyholder. You don't wind up with a stack of 20 policies sitting on your desk saying, oh my God, I got to get all these things delivered, and I got to go to the post office, and I got to get delivery receipts. You can certainly follow up with them and go through everything, but this way we're sending it out with a tracking number, a certificate of mailing, so we don't have to worry about, oh, somebody's came back 3 years later and said they never got their policy and they want their money back. It's done for you. And as soon as we get that first allotment, we've settled the policy, we're advancing the agents their commissions there, and it's out of sight, out of mind for you there. So I think it's nice, because now you're able to spend your time being out there talking to the employees, helping get them in a better situation by setting up a permanent life plan for them. And you're not in a situation where you're saying, oh my God, I'm spending days and hours and weeks sometimes just doing this administrative work. We try to minimize that as much as we possibly can, so that we've got our administrative team in the home office taking care of that, rather than you guys wasting your time doing that. Okay. Any questions about what I just shared there?
Only thing I saw come in, Chris, was the follow-up on the California uploading it. I'm, obviously applications, paper apps are getting long. I'm assuming every page of that paper app needs to be printed out and uploaded to your website then for it to be sent out via DocuSign, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I will tell, I'm not going to sit here and tell you our app is short, but I mean, I'm seeing some apps with companies now 60 to 80 pages. Ours is not nearly that long. I want to say we're more in that 20-ish page range. Okay. So again, is it ideal? No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, oh, this is the absolute perfect solution. But we found with our agencies at work and read a lot of business in California, it's just a a different side of the token that we're dealing with there. We're dealing with it differently, but we're finding that it's working pretty systematically there as well. Okay. The other thing I always share, it's funny. I see you guys have a trip to Quebec coming up. Our conference next year is actually in Quebec. We just got back from Mexico a little over a month back. That was this year's. The nice thing with GPM is the qualifier is $90,000, which it's a 6-day trip for you and a guest in Quebec. It's when you look at other companies for a trip of that quality, or sometimes not even of that quality, I'm finding that most of those qualifiers are more in that $150,000 to $180,000 range. So I think we've got a pretty reachable goal there, in terms of getting things rocking and rolling. Are we already halfway through the year? Yeah, we are. I will tell you, I had a 23-year-old that started with me 2 years ago in July and qualified for conference doing nothing but making roster calls to the post office. Didn't have a single lead, literally just went out, found rosters and cold called through it and qualified for conference. So I know we're already halfway through the year, but the idea that that the year's over or too far down the road, I would completely disagree with that. I think there's a whole lot of year ahead of us. The last thing I would share is, when you're working with GPM, yeah, we work with independent agents, but I think the flavor and the style of company is almost like one of the old-fashioned career companies where we try to work hand in hand with the agents and provide incentives and recognition. So if one of the things I'll send over to you here, John, is our Capital Club information. And one of the things is anybody who qualifies as a quick start agent with us, that's anybody who writes $6,000 in their first 6 months, which is probably 2 or 3 apps. We send them a prepaid Visa card with $200 on it. And then every time they write more business, we continue to add to that prepaid Visa card. It works out to be about $15 per $1,000 in premium. And the more production you do, the higher that percentage gets. I have guys that take cruises every year on these cards because they literally, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you get thousands and thousands of dollars built in there. I know you were sharing some of the things that IAMS does. We do marketing allowances and E&O reimbursement, things like that for agents who qualify at our preferred level. Preferred level with us starts at $30,000. So we've made the decision as a company to say, hey, we're not just going to focus on our uber, high-end producers. We want to try to expand this. And honestly, I think 30,000 is a little too low if you want my personal opinion, but we've tried to make it to include as many producers as we can to where we're saying, hey, let us earn your business. We don't want to be a product on the shelf. Okay. And I'll tell you guys, if you're looking for cheap term, if you're looking, you want to shop 20 companies on every case you do, don't even look at us. We're never going to be the cheapest term. Okay. What sets us apart? We're going to have a strong product. We've got strong renewal histories. We've got the ability to do the allotment system, the advanced commissions, things like that. Okay. Are we going to be competitive? Absolutely. We'll be competitive, but our goal was never to beat Banner and AIG and things like that on term. That's just not who we are. Okay. So the other biggest thing I see is the ability to do that payroll deduction and making these people clients now, making it so that you're not somebody who did a Zoom with them 5 years ago. You are their benefits person. And you will be amazed if you have a $100 biweekly case set up. They now look at you as their benefits person. And when they're retiring, they're coming to you. Okay. I had an old client call me last week saying, Chris, I'm going to be retiring here. I turn 59 next year. What do I need to be doing? Okay. So I've lived it firsthand. My background is as a field guy. I came up before Zoom existed. I've been doing the federal market since 2007, so I'm used to sitting down across the kitchen table in the evening across from the employee and the wife, going through all of this stuff and doing it. So building that relationship, and I can tell you firsthand, my agents who write a bunch of life insurance, They see continued growth on their annuity production as well, because that pipeline is filled. And even if you don't have a CRM, or people fall through the cracks, or you're not the most organized and you don't follow up with them as much as you'd like to, you get that notice in the mail and you open the envelope and it said, Bill Smith's premium did not come in. He needs to pay this. Well, he's getting that letter and you're getting that letter, and you're calling him and saying, hey, Bill, we got to chat here. I got a notice that your premium didn't come in. I don't want your policy to lapse. Let me tell you, 90+% of those calls are getting returned. Now you're saying, Bill, what's going on? I saw your premium didn't come in. Great, you retired. Excellent. Well, we got to set up a time. We got to get this straightened out, but I want to go over a couple other things to make sure all your ducks are in a row. And guess what? There's your TSP appointment. And guess what? You're the only one that knows Bill Smith just retired. It is a great, great lead in. It's a great lead source for you. And they're not even warm leads, they're hot leads. They're existing clients, and you're the only one that knows about them, and you're not paying a dime to get them. So when you're paying for these preset appointments, utilize them. Don't say, this person's 48 or this person's 52. There's not much I can do here. I can't get the TSP. Great. Let's go set them up a plan where you're going to make a couple $1,000 that you can reinvest back in your business. And I can assure you guys, I've watched it year after year after year. When you do that, that annuity production coincides with the growth on the life side there as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, because we have the different training platforms that we have. I mentioned our Federal Bridge. I know Dave talks about that same thing. Everybody, they see the grand prize of getting that TSP rollover, but only that small percentage of federal employees is actually 59.5 or older, right? So you're having you're missing out on life sales, just making them a client like you mentioned, and you can make a pretty dang good living just writing those steady life insurance sales. If it's $100,000 death benefit, $100 a month, whichever it be, and then once that rollover does come, that's where you really start stacking cases on top of each other.
Oh yeah, I mean my top producer year to date is well over 200,000. He'll probably wind up between 400,000 and 500,000, and that's just in life. Yep. And you fill that pipeline up, and it just becomes such a natural lead source for you there. John, do you want me to share my contact information with everybody here, so that way they have me as a backup if they ever want to talk about case design or the software, any of that stuff?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so guys, my email address, if you want to jot this down, is just clawrence, CLAWRENCE @gpmlife.com. Okay, I'm going to give you my direct cell number. Okay, it's 440-463-0550. Quickest way to get with me is feel free to shoot me either an email, or you can shoot me a quick text message here. And I always say, just use your discretion when it comes to urgency. Okay, if it's 8 o'clock at night and you're sitting trying to take a nap and you've got an issue on the e-app that you need help with, call me at 8 o'clock at night. Okay, if you want to talk about next Tuesday's appointment, give me a call tomorrow morning. But my goal is to earn your business and to help you to get to where you want to go. Like I say, we don't want to be a product on the shelf. We want to be your go-to company. And when I look at our producers, all of our bigger producers, we're getting 98% of their business. We're their go-to company. Very, very rarely is there a case that they say we're just not a fit for. So that's who we want to be. And if you truly want to expand what you're doing in the federal market, we want to lock arms with you and with the team at IAMS and work hand in hand to grow not only the life, but the annuity stuff for you. Obviously, we don't do annuities. We only do life insurance. But I know the guys at IAMS, they've got great annuity carriers for you there. Great, just some great resources. So we want to work hand in hand to develop that relationship and help you achieve your goals so that you stay with us for a long time to come.
And Chris, one more time, can you repeat your contact info?
Absolutely. So my email, clawrence, CLAWRENCE @gpmlife.com. And my direct cell, I don't even use my landline because I'm on the road so much. It's 440-463-0550.
Alrighty, thanks. Thank you. I just had a question on that, and I threw it in the chat then for everybody. And obviously,
Perfect.
like I mentioned here at the beginning, we'll apologize for the technical difficulties. Chris did, our plan was this will be available, but we had some extra content that we would share out that you guys can watch on demand at your own leisure, of walking through, their software, their benefits software, illustration software, that kind of stuff. So obviously,
Yeah,
like
I'm going to have 3 links out to you. Give me a little bit of time to get those put together. And I'm also going to send you, I'm not sure, some people may not be registered on the website yet. I'm going to send you some instructions on, hey, here's where you go to get on the website. But again, want to be a resource to you, give me a holler if there's anything I can do to help. Because John and I look at, and everybody at IAMS, I look at all of us as a team. We're all shooting towards the same goal, which is, we want you guys to write conference level production with us if that's something you want to accomplish. So, let us earn that. And like I said, you're going to see a big uptick in your annuity business on the back end of that as well, if it's something you commit to doing.
Yep. Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate the time. Once again, we apologize for technical difficulties. Yeah, well, I guess
I think we
sometimes it
worked
just
through it
is
well.
what it
I
is.
apologize as well, and I thank you guys.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. And once again, don't hesitate to reach out to Chris or myself, anybody here on the sales team, about questions around GPM Life. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday and have a good week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.